Hey everyone, I'm Harper. I'm about to graduate from one of the top universities in the country with a degree in computer science. It's been a crazy journey and I'm proud of how far I've come. But if I'm being real, my family life is complicated. My parents split when I was a kid, and after that, my dad's side of the family pretty much disappeared. That includes my Uncle Robert. I have these vague memories of him visiting when I was little. There was one time he helped us out during a rough patch, but it's all kind of hazy now. As graduation gets closer, I've been thinking a lot about the past. I've worked so hard these last 4 years, but there's this nagging feeling that something's missing. Hey Jess, you okay? That's Mike, my boyfriend. He's been my rock through all the madness of college. Yeah, I'm good. Just thinking about family stuff, I say, trying to brush it off. Your dad's side again? He asks, raising an eyebrow. I nod, chewing on my lip. I was thinking about inviting Uncle Robert to graduation. I admit, testing the waters. Mike gives me a skeptical look. The estranged uncle? Are you sure that's a good idea? I don't know. Maybe it's time to try and rebuild some bridges. I pull out my phone and start scrolling through social media, searching for him. It takes a while, but I finally find Uncle Robert's profile. My finger hovers over the message button. What's the worst that could happen? I mumble as I type out an invite. Life goes on. I'm juggling finals, prepping for job interviews, and trying to hold onto my sanity. A few days later, my phone pings. It's Uncle Robert. He accepted the invite. Holy crap, I say out loud, staring at my screen. What's up? Mike asks, glancing up from his textbook. Uncle Robert, he's coming to the graduation. Mike sets his book aside. Wow. How do you feel about that? I let out a shaky breath. Nervous, excited, I don't know. It's weird, right? A little, but hey, if this is what you want, I've got your back. Graduation day comes faster than I expected. My hands are shaking as I adjust my cap one last time. My best friend Alicia gives my arm a reassuring squeeze. You ready, Jess? As ready as I'll ever be, I reply, trying to calm the butterflies in my stomach. The ceremony feels like a blur. Before I know it, I'm walking across the stage, diploma in hand. I scan the crowd and spot my mom, her face glowing with pride. Then I see him, Uncle Robert, sitting a few rows back. He actually came. After the ceremony, I'm swept up in a sea of hugs and congratulations. My mom pulls me into a tight embrace, tears in her eyes. I'm so proud of you, sweetie. Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have done it without you. That's when I see Uncle Robert making his way toward me. He looks older than I remember, more gray in his hair now. Jess, congratulations. Thanks for coming, Uncle Robert. It really means a lot. He nods, then glances around. Can we talk privately for a moment? Curiosity gets the better of me, so I follow him to a quieter corner. That's when his demeanor shifts. So about that loan I gave your mother 10 years ago, he says. I blink, caught off guard. Loan? What loan? The $5,000 I lent her for your education. It's time to pay up. My jaw drops. I don't know anything about that. Are you sure? His face hardens. Of course I'm sure. Your mother promised she'd pay me back, and since it was for your education, I figure you should be the one to repay it. I'm stunned. This can't be happening, not today of all days. Uncle Robert, I just graduated. I don't have that kind of money. His voice rises. Well, you better figure it out. I didn't come here just for the ceremony, you know. People are starting to stare. I can feel my face heating up in embarrassment. Please, can we talk about this later? This isn't the time or place. No, we'll discuss it now, he snaps. That's when my mom notices the commotion and hurries over. Robert, what's going on? Uncle Robert turns to her, his tone sharp. Perfect timing, Lisa. Care to explain why your daughter hasn't paid me back? Mom's face pales. Robert, not here. Not now. Why not? It seems like the perfect time to me. The family's all together. Isn't that nice? His sarcasm cuts through the air. I look between them, completely lost. Can someone please tell me what's going on? Mom sighs. Honey, it's complicated. Your uncle did help us out a long time ago, but nothing. Uncle Robert cuts her off. I gave you that money in good faith, and you promised to pay it back. I see Mike pushing his way through the crowd, worry etched across his face. Everything okay here? He asks. Before I can answer, Uncle Robert scoffs. Oh great, the boyfriend. Did you know you're dating a freeloader? Excuse me? Mike's voice drops dangerously low. This is spiraling out of control. Everyone please, can we just take a breath? I say, trying to defuse the situation. Uncle Robert, I had no idea about this loan, and I'm sorry, but I can't pay you back right now. Maybe we can work something out later. Later? I've waited 10 years. Your mother's been dodging me, and now you're trying to do the same, he snaps. Mom steps between us. That's enough, Robert. You want to talk about the past? Fine, my mom's voice shakes with anger. Let's talk about how you manipulated Dad into changing his will. Or how about the money you borrowed from Aunt Sarah and never paid back? The air between them crackles, years of buried tensions rising to the surface like an electric storm. I'm caught in the middle of it all, watching helplessly as what should have been the happiest day of my life unravels into chaos. As I stand there, my heart pounding, I can't help but wonder what other secrets have been buried, hidden in the tangled web of my family's past. The graduation disaster left me reeling, even after the crowd had dispersed and I was back home. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than just an unpaid loan. So I decided to start digging. Mom, we need to talk about Uncle Robert, I said one evening, sitting down at the kitchen table, the weight of unresolved questions pressing on me. She sighed, her face etched with exhaustion. I was hoping we could just forget about all of that. I can't. Not until I know the truth. What really happened with that loan? For a moment, she hesitated, then slowly reached for a box of old documents from a cupboard. It's a long story, Jess. Are you sure you want to hear it? I'm sure. We sifted through faded bank statements and worn-out letters, my stomach twisting with every new discovery. A pattern started to emerge. Uncle Robert's name, always tied to some kind of money problem. He didn't just lend us money, did he? I asked, feeling the weight of realization settle in. Mom shook her head, her eyes filled with regret. No, he didn't. After your father left, Robert swooped in like he was some kind of savior. He offered to help with the bills, but there was always a catch. He guilt me into paying for his car repairs or covering his rent. It was never ending. A surge of anger shot through me. Why didn't you tell me? She sighed, looking down. I was embarrassed, Jess. I thought I could handle it on my own. The next day, I decided to call my grandmother. Her voice trembled on the other end of the line as she shared her own experiences. Robert, he's always been good at manipulating people. He convinced your grandfather to change his will, leaving everything to him. We didn't find out until it was too late. The puzzle pieces were starting to fall into place, but I knew I needed more. I had to reach out to Aunt Sarah, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. When I called, I could hear the surprise in her voice. Jessica, is that really you? Hi, Aunt Sarah. I'm sorry to bother you, but I need to ask you something about Uncle Robert. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. What do you want to know? Everything. For the next hour, Aunt Sarah poured out years of frustration and hurt. Robert had borrowed money from her, promising to pay it back with interest. He never did. Instead, he spread rumors, turning the family against her. I'm so sorry, Aunt Sarah. I had no idea. It's not your fault, sweetie, she sighed. Robert's always been good at covering his tracks. As I dug deeper into Robert's deceptions, my personal life started to unravel. Mike and I argued when I canceled our date night to continue my investigation. Jess, I get that this is important, but you can't let it consume you, he said, frustration clear in his voice. You don't understand. This isn't just about me, it's about my whole family. I'm trying to understand, but you're shutting me out. He was right, but I couldn't stop now. I was close to unraveling the whole truth. My job search was suffering too. I bombed an interview, too distracted by a lead I'd uncovered about Robert's business dealings. I'm sorry, but you're not the right fit for this company, the interviewer said, disappointment in her tone. I left the office feeling crushed. Was I sacrificing my future to expose the past? That night, I spread out all the evidence I gathered across my bedroom floor. Bank statements, emails, handwritten notes. It all led to one undeniable conclusion. Uncle Robert hadn't just manipulated my mom and Aunt Sarah. He'd been exploiting the entire family for years. I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over Mike's number. I needed to talk to someone, but I hesitated. Would this only drive a bigger wedge between us? As I sat there, surrounded by the wreckage of my family's past, I realized I had a choice. I could keep digging, potentially destroying my relationships and future, or I could let it go. But then I thought of my mom, my grandmother, Aunt Sarah, all the people Robert had hurt. They deserved justice, and I was the only one who could make it happen. Taking a deep breath, I dialed Mike's number. It was time to let him in on everything. Whatever came next, I couldn't face it alone. After weeks of planning, the day of the family reunion finally arrived. My heart pounded as I watched everyone file into the rented hall, including Uncle Robert. "Thanks for organizing this, Jess," my mom said, squeezing my hand. I nodded, trying to calm my nerves. It's time we cleared the air. Once everyone was seated, I stood up. "I know you're all wondering why I called this reunion. The truth is, we've been living with a lie for too long." I pulled out a projector and began presenting the evidence. Bank statements, emails, recorded conversations, all pointing to Robert's years of manipulation and fraud. "You little snake," Robert shouted, jumping to his feet. "How dare you?" But his protests were drowned out as other family members started speaking up. "He borrowed $10,000 from me and never paid it back," Cousin Tom revealed. "He spread rumors about me to cover up his own theft," Aunt Sarah added. As Robert's facade crumbled, the family united against him. The decision to cut ties was unanimous. Unexpectedly, my investigation caught the attention of a corporate security firm. Impressed by my persistence and skill, they offered me a job in fraud detection. Months later, I was thriving in my new career, and my family was closer than ever, healing old wounds. Then, the news broke. Robert was facing charges for tax evasion and fraud in his business dealings. "Karma's a bee, huh?" Mike said, showing me the article. I smiled, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Justice had been served without us having to lift a finger. As I reflected on everything that had happened, I realized the importance of standing up to toxic people and the power of truth. My future was no longer shadowed by Robert's manipulation. "Ready for dinner with the family?" Mike asked, grabbing his keys. I nodded, grateful for the stronger, more honest relationships we built. "More than ready. Let's go." The story ends here. What would you have done in Jessica's shoes? Would you have exposed Uncle Robert or kept the family secrets buried? Share your thoughts in the comments.